how did you know when the right time was to get Microsoft involved? Was it the advice from your mom, or were there other factors too?
Well, we came to Seattle with 14 employees, and we didn't have a United Way campaign. Somehow, when we were in Albuquerque, they didn't find us. We were there 24 hours a day. We came here, and as we got up to 30 or 40 employees, my mom definitely said we should have the United Way campaign. And so I said, okay, I guess we'll try it. And people were smart about it. They were creative about it. And so it became a real asset. I wasn't sure that would be the case, but particularly as we got larger, as we got into hundreds and then thousands and now into tens of thousands of people, it created a certain fabric. We actually get higher participation rates. If you look at where do we get 85% participation rates, it's often in our field sales offices where they have a sense of camaraderie. They're kind of trying to compare to each other. There's a few groups at headquarters that will get up into that range, but not many. We don't. If a group's 100%, we're kind of like, was there a bribe involved? Actually, it turned out in one case there was a long time ago, and that's not really part of the rules. Actually, to juice your participation. For all the foundation stuff I'm doing now, we are very hardcore about measurement, because when you have some things that are incredibly effective on a global level. For example, if you buy additional vaccines, you're basically saving a life for about $1,000 per life, and you're avoiding sickness, and you're reducing population growth. So it's a pretty phenomenal thing. So whenever I review another program and I see that they're being a little bit sloppy about how they're spending money, I think, okay, they're being sloppy about $1 million. They just killed 1,000 children because I could have taken the money and put it over into that other program. And it sort of focuses your mind on, try not to waste too many $1 million, because you should feel bad if you do that. Now, philanthropy outside the U.S. in poor countries, you're going to get, if you really find something that's very dramatic. I always believe that when people first get involved in philanthropy, doing something that's related to social services, something that's local, almost certainly something that is an agency that'll have some strong relationship with the United Way, whether it's volunteerism or just understanding what they're up to, trying to help them out at a board level, getting money. That's really a great place to start, because you can actually see it, and you've got to try to get a sense of, okay, why is there this need, and what can volunteers help out with this thing? I think that's a phenomenal thing. I think the philanthropy is getting better about these metrics. I think government needs to be better about these metrics. The private sector, it does have that one great thing, that if you're sloppy about your metrics, you go bankrupt, and the resources that you're tying up get freed up for someone else to try and take advantage of in a better way. And that clarity, it's partly why somebody like Warren Buffett prefers to stay in the for-profit world, where the rules are very, very clear, and delegate the giving to Melinda and I, which is nice. It's fun for us because we've gotten to enjoy it. But he's just decided that it's kind of soft enough that he wouldn't know whether he's doing something. And his view is, okay, the easy problems have been solved. The hard problems are the ones that are still remain there. Whereas in business, his view is that because various companies and stocks get mispriced from time to time, he's handed pretty easy decisions to make. You're not going to run into too many of those in philanthropy. There are some. There are some social service things locally, some things like vaccines that just cry out. But the metrics can be used, and the groups that work together through the allocation process, in a sense, have to really explain, in order to get any money from the United Way, they have to go through and show that they're doing that well. The idea of picking people who are doing very interesting things and backing them, picking audacious goals, it is more similar to the work at Microsoft than you might think. Certainly the technology and education piece is virtually the same. We're doing data structures and user interfaces and thinking through the scenario, what's it like to be a teacher? And then you have these students who are seeing all these different adults, and do the adults know what's going on with that student? And what about these tests, and what about surveys, and videoing the teacher and analyzing what they're doing well or not. In the global health field, I've had to learn a fair bit about immunology and vaccines and those things, which has been a lot of fun, so that I can meet the scientists who work in those areas and get enough of a sense to decide who to give lots of money to make a malaria or AIDS vaccine, and you know, which groups are going to be the most effective. But it's very similar. There's some great innovators. You have to have patience about the things, a kind of numerical way of looking at it. I am involved in working with governments more, which sounds a little strange, since part of my Microsoft career involved a certain kind of relationship. And so you might have thought, well, why would you move to something that has even more of that? And it is challenging with all these budget cuts going on. There will be some things that are, even just take the foreign aid piece. Defending that is hard, even though those dollars are very effective. But in a way, you could say it just makes it a more complex game, that you have to understand those things. And it's been very nice that governments aren't that analytical. I mean, they don't feel like they can take the long-term approach and get people in. So the partnership between what the foundation's good at and then what the governments are good at is often extremely complementary. And one government, the United Kingdom, has actually raised their aid budget, even as they cut their government spending, by 10%. And at least a little bit, the foundation's voice in terms of saying, hey, this is great because this is really helping the poorest. You're not balancing your budget on the back of the poorest and breaking your promise to get your aid up to a certain level. Hopefully that makes it just a little bit easier for people to feel like that money is being well spent.